Welcome to Military Illumination. My name is Gary, and I will be here with you, talking about things basically the military doesn't want you to know about. Just want to have a simple conversation over a cup of coffee about things you should know before enlisting in the military. Today, I just want to talk to you about college, and the military paying for it. If you're a person or that's considering enlisting in the military or knows someone is, and expecting or maybe anticipating that you will take advantage of the military's pay for college program, whatever that might be, then hear me out. Hopefully, the information we talk about today may help you look at it from a different perspective. Not looking at it as a gift, but maybe as a lure to get you in. So here you are. You're maybe a junior or senior in high school, young junior, senior person in high school, finally figuring what they want to do, and college is on the list. They decide, yeah, you know what? I want to college. I want to go to college. I want to get a degree. But unfortunately, their parents' bank account won't support it. So what do? You start Googling, asking around, and sooner or later, one of the school counselors is going to bring up the military and how they pay for the college. Think about that. They're going to pay for college in exchange for what? That's the question. In exchange for what? First of all, one thing you understand is that the Army, Air Force, Navy, Marines, whatever those branches you're talking about, they don't directly actually pay for it. Okay? They say they actually don't pay for it. What happens is that it goes to the Veterans Administration. It's a program, different various programs through the Veterans Administrations. Once a person gets out of the military, they're no longer in the military. They're no longer in the Army, Air Force, Navy, Marines, whatever, okay? That's what I'm going to say. They are now come under the Department of Veterans Affairs. Okay? So that's the first gotcha that you got to be, that you have to understand, is that these branches aren't paying for it. Okay? They are giving the illusion that they are. They're basically the middle person in this whole affair, but they're not actually going to be paying for your college. There's also going to be a whole different thing. I'll talk about that. There's a lot of gotchas there too. But second thing is the contract. I talked about the contract, enlistment contract, and I think I had a podcast on it. I don't know, I did, and that's what I'm thinking. And in no time do I ever, there's no time, or you can look that contract over, does it say pay for college? There's not a box. There's not a head. There's not a sentence. There's not a paragraph that talks about paying for college. So therefore, it's not in your contract. It's not part of what you're joining up for. Like I said before, it's nothing more than it goes to the Department of Veterans Affairs, okay? So get that straight. It's not in the contract. And what the contract does say is that if it's not in this contract, it doesn't exist. I'm paraphrasing it. Everything that you're signing up for is in that contract. And paying for college isn't in the contract. Trust me. What's in the contract is how you're going to be a slave. Ooh, I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that. How you're going to be served. No, I can't say that either. How are you going to be incarcerated? No. How are you going to be locked up? No. I guess you can say how your freedom is going to be restricted beyond your beliefs. That's basically what it says. And that you have no choice in the matter of what happens to you after you go in. And you got to be in for 8 years. I know the recruiter is saying, no, you can join in for 3 years. You can join for 4 years. You can join for 2 years. No. You're joining for 8 years. How you spend that time is up to you and the government. So, back on track here. So now we know that the branches aren't paying for the college. We know that it's not in the contract. Now we understand that where it's coming from is coming from the Veterans Administration's various programs. Now, once you enter into that realm of the veterans programs, it's a whole different monkey. It's a whole different monkey. I don't know if I can say monkey or not. It's a whole different, I don't know. It's a whole different dimension. Okay? It's a whole different dimension. Now you enter the bureaucratic state, the bureaucracy. They're not going to pay for the full ride. Get that out of your thick skulls. In most cases, they're going to pay up to 3, and you got to beg for the 4th one. Read the fine print. Read the fine print. So, are they really paying for it? What's really happening? Okay. You're basically going to give up 8 years of your life for something that's possibly going to happen to you afterwards. Okay. Now you're 12 years, you're 18, 28, in your 30s, trying to hustle your way through college. Chances are you're going to be you have family, you have debt, you have issues. Lord forbid that you don't get PTSD or you get any injuries that's going to affect your cognitive abilities, or you don't get into trouble where, I forgot about to tell you that. If you don't get out with an honorable discharge, all bets are off. Okay? All bets are off. You have to get out with honorable discharge. And knowing that the Ferris Doctrine and how the military is and how they're pretty much can trip you up on the small things, you're betting. You're betting. It's a losing bet if you ask me. So, as you think about it, who's paying for it? In its rawest sense, I am. Your parents are. Your teachers, your brothers, your uncles, any taxpayer that you know is paying for it. Because where do these funds come from? These funds come from the tax paying. That's where these funds for you paying for your college. So you're actually a person who actually goes into the military, who's actually earning an income, who's actually paying taxes, kind of in a sly kind of way, you're paying for your own college. If you think about it that way, you're actually paying for it. They tax your money. They tax your pay. Where else are they going to get the money from? So I'm paying for your college. Your teachers are paying for your college. Every taxpayer is paying for the college. Everybody. It comes from someplace, right? It comes from someplace. So let's move on. As you're thinking about it, from that standpoint, why not just pay for yourself? Why not have the person consider starting out at the junior college level, the community college level, starting out, just working your way through, paying as you go. It's going to be the same amount of time. In actuality, you'll be done before 8 years are up, right? Second, parents can pay for it. They can chip in a little bit of extra money. Maybe you get a birthday. Maybe say, hey, don't give me no gifts. Just kind of put some money in for my books or for my housing or whatever. Stay at home. Don't piss your parents off. Throw a little money in the kitty for food, room and board. It's still going to be cheaper. You're paying for college anyways. There's work study. There's scholarships. There's grants, right? If your high school offers it, there's Running Start, where you can actually, if you plan on going to your in-state college, you can actually graduate with a 2-year degree, get out as a senior, go into a university you want to get into as a transfer student, bam, you're in. Less money. If you get a job basically that has internships, that requires you to do internships, you're already interviewing for jobs. If you go into public service like a teacher and you work in a high needs area, in Title I schools, you can be paid for. Okay. What I'm saying is this: is the military's benefit of paying for college or for college benefits or tuition assistance, is it really a good thing? That's the question. Is it really a good opportunity? By the way, tuition assistance is different than paying for college. Tuition assistance that they're going to pay up to a certain amount, but I'm not going to go in there right now. So the question you ask is this: once you look at what they're offering you 8 years of servitude, 8 years of your freedom, versus you do it on your own, keep your freedom, keep your choice, go to school, earn a degree, maybe even find companies that you can work for that offers for paying for college. And there's a lot of those companies. There's a lot of those companies as well, and a lot of the unions. They have a lot of programs, right? A lot of union programs that you can get involved in. Become a journeyman, internships, right? Apprenticeships. There's a lot. There's a lot that is there. And so when you ask yourself is the military's opportunity through paying for college, is it a really good opportunity? Is it really? That's the question you got to ask yourself. The flip side, I'm gonna end with this story. The flip side of this is you can go in the military, you can maybe do some online courses. Nowadays, there's a lot of online courses. You can kind of work your way through it that way, which is not bad. But very few people have that type of stamina or that focus or that desire to go to school while they're under the stress of being in the military, having to deal with deployments, having to deal with if you got your jobs that are in the field, right? It takes a very special person to do that. But why do that when you can do the same thing as a civilian, working a job, going to school at night, paying for it as you go? Doggone it, you work hard. This is really for the high school student. You work hard that your senior year, you get a job, you put that money away, your first year is taken care of. But you gotta be serious about it. If you're really serious about it, then you'll find a way. Don't look at the military as your end all to be all, your genie. Now, I went that way. My story, I'll tell my story later. But when I was in, I went to school at night, right? I paid out of my pocket. Yeah, I got tuition assistant. I think 80% they paid, but I still had to pay something. I had to pay for my books. Right? I even had to, even when I went to college through vocational rehab, I had to pay for my books, my robes, my graduation, all that stuff. What they paid for was tuition. Everything else I had to pay. Now, when I was in and I was going to school, since I was in the field units, Lord bless my heart, my recruiter, I'll talk about that later, right? If we went deployed, we went to the field, and I couldn't get back in for classes, I was done. How many classes did I have to give up on because I was in the field or because I got deployed? A lot. That's what I went in for. The recruiter, I'm not going to get there right now. I'll tell that story later. But that's what I went in for. And in the end, I got nothing. In the end, I got enough credits squirreling away from different places that when they added it up, I was close enough to an associate's. And I also had some extra left over for my bachelor's through through the Veterans Administration Vocational Rehab. I think Article 31, I think. That's the program. Yeah, I'm busted up. Can barely walk. But they sent me back to school, mainly because how I tested high, and mostly because I was already done. I was close enough. Because remember I told you about that 3 hours? Remember I told you about that 3 hours? No, not 3 hours. The 3 years that they all paid for? That's what that was all about. I was within that window. So there you go. I do get my associates and my bachelor's courtesy of the military, but I paid the price. I was down going near my 30s by the time I was finished. Okay, I'm busted up now. I can barely walk. I'm a disabled vet with high percentages. But that's not your problem. That's not my problem. That's just what it is, baby. You have to consider the military. If you're considering the military's options, or you know someone else is, I say dig a little bit deeper, find some answers, right? And really know what you're getting. I'm going to leave you with this story here. Today, I went and I was thirsty. I've been trying to get off of sugar. Today, I broke down and I said, okay, you know what? I'm going to get this root beer. And the lady was trying to choose between this biotic drink. It was supposed to be a healthy drink. I looked at it, I heard about it, I thought it was nasty. But she said it's only 4 grams of sugar. I've been wanting to, so she told me that all the good benefits of it. I looked at it and I said, okay, I'm going to try it. I went and bought it. I got to my car, looked at the empty bottle, the 20-ounce bottle of Muggs root beer, and it said 74 grams of sugar. It said 74 grams of sugar. That's 6 tablespoons. I Googled that real fast. I might as well have put 6 tablespoons of sugar in some water and drank it, which I never would have. Who would do that? I never would have done that. You know, what can I say? It's a bottle. At first, it was 20 ounces. I didn't realize it was 20 ounces until I looked, it was 20 ounces. It used to be 12 ounces. So I just drank down 20 ounces of 6 grams of sugar and some fizzle. Now, here's what I'm getting at. If I had not ran into the lady at the commissary and we didn't have that discussion and she wasn't kind enough to share with me the ins and outs, I would have never tried the drink, which, by the way, I liked it. And I never would have thought to look at the sugar content of what I had just drank. What I'm getting at here is this. I'm telling you, dig a little deeper at the opportunity for the military to pay for the college. Look at the fine print. Then look at other options that you have. Then make a decision. Once I said before, there's nothing wrong with the military. I really believe they should be drafted. I really believe it should be conscription. I really do. So that they can get over leave in their foolishness and stop trying to sugarcoat it as a career, as a job. But anyways, that's my story. I'm sticking to it. Hopefully you got something out of it. And if you did, share with someone else. Check out what I'm saying to see if I'm right. Share with other people. Keep looking. No matter what you do, ask questions and look for yourself. Have a good day. Bye-bye.